Okay, I decided to do a video on the Gotwsy Begode EX air chamber. This is the air chamber. That's it. This is the bottom of the suspension. It is held in with that block. There's a black block at the bottom. The air chamber is the outside part, and the inner part is just a guide rod. Um, so you may want to change the oil that there is in there, or if the valve, the O-ring fails, you may want to change that. Easiest way is remove that black block at the bottom, which is basically a set screw and a C-clip. You remove that, then this guy just drops out, and then there's a valve in here. It's just a bicycle valve, a Schrader valve, I believe they call it. Before you do anything, you want to release the air. Don't forget, in here you could have anywhere from 800 psi up to a couple of thousand psi, depending on what pressure you have it. So just like a bicycle tire, you put something in there and press, and it's suddenly all the air and some oil will shoot out. So don't worry. Then you get your core remover, you put it in there. You need a long driver, and you unscrew it. Once you have unscrewed it a little bit, it won't unscrew all the way out. Do about, I don't know, 10 turns, 20 turns, and then all you have to do is basically press on this cylinder, and it will shoot out the oil and the valve. You may have to do it a couple of times. Let's see. If it doesn't come out, maybe you haven't unscrewed it far enough. Okay. There, the valve fell out, and all it is just a normal tire valve, Schrader valve, or is it Presta? I think it's Schrader. Okay, then this is the amount of oil that you see is what I've got out of it. It won't be this much oil, because I was playing around with it before I started videoing, and I put some oil in there just to play around, see. I was testing different things. It will probably be half of this much oil in there, and it will take a while for the oil to come out because it is pretty thick oil. So if you hold it down or just let it sit that way for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, all the oil will come out. This is if you want to change the oil. I'm going to change the oil on mine during ride season, when I ride every day, probably once a month. That's up to you. If you never want to change it, again, it's up to you. Or if you want to add some oil, when would you need to do this is, let's say you're riding at 1000 psi and now you decide to ride at 800. The only way to release air is, like I said, by putting something in there, pushing it against the valve. And when you do that, don't forget, in this little space you have anywhere from 800 to a couple of thousand psi, and as soon as you press that valve, it's suddenly all the air will come out instantaneously, and some of this oil, when it comes out, it will look like foam because it's under pressure. So let's say you do that a few times a month, changing your air to lower, then some of this oil has come out. Now you want to put some oil back in there. You have to release the pressure, take the valve out, and then add oil. What oil to add? I'm probably just going to use mineral oil. You don't want to use brake fluid type of oil. the dot, whatever they are, because some of those are not good for silicone O-rings or something. I can't remember. I think mineral oil or whatever they call it, there's a name for it, I forgot now. It is probably the safest. And as you can see, still little bits of oil, drops of oil is coming out. Anyway, you would put some oil back in there. How much? Probably half of what is on here. I'm just gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drops of oil. Let's see what one drop looks like. I would say about 15 drops of oil. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now you're gonna ask me, how big is the drop? Well, I'm using this nozzle, so work it out. All right, then you make sure your valve is clean, nothing has got stuck to it. You put it back in there, push it down, and then screw it back. There. Okay, and then you put it back inside your wheel and pressurize it to whatever you want. That's it. Pretty easy, straightforward. Very easy, useful suspension, I suppose, on the EX. Very easy to replace parts, and are not costly at all. I think I worked it out. This guy, the guide ride, the block at the bottom, they are probably, for both sides, is less than about 50 bucks a side, maybe. Well, I suppose that's my price, but whatever. It's not that expensive, put it this way. That's it.